discuss about how we can create our custom modules. So I believe guys, you guys might have tried, and maybe you might have tried to come up with some kind of unique use case. And maybe you are also planning to share your module publicly, maybe in the GitHub or maybe in the registry of Terraform. Okay, so what's the plan for today? There's two topics I had decided and for today. One topic is, and this is the again based on guys on request of multiple participants here. So they wanted to discuss how we can integrate Terraform with Kubernetes. Okay, so this is one of the topic I would like to discuss today. Okay, and second topic would be again related to Terraform only. So how we can use Terraform functions, even though some of the functions we have already discussed, but I want to show you some more functions today of Terraform. Okay, so there's a two plan for today. So let's start directly with one of the topic. Okay, but I just want to tell you one more thing to keep one thing in the mind, that by chance this topic is not at all the part of our agenda, but it's good to know some extra things, extra integration. Somehow it might be useful. Okay, so only prerequisite for this topic, you should have some basic knowledge of Kubernetes. If you have, then we can very quickly understand. Otherwise, just go through the idea and the process. Maybe not in the Kubernetes, maybe you have something else you want to integrate in the future. So same idea and same approach you can use in the future, the way I'm going to use with the Kubernetes. Okay, so let's start with one of the topic called Terraform functions. Let me start from here. Okay, pretty straightforward topic, nothing very interesting, but it's based upon the requirement, what exactly you want to do, which functions you want to use. Okay, so let me start from here. And so let us start from this topic called Terraform function, right? But to save the time, what I'm doing guys here, I have my local Kubernetes cluster. I'm starting this cluster, so save our time. Okay, so there's a command here, in my case is called minikube start. Okay, so those who by chance know something about Kubernetes, so they might know this command, and this will start my local Kubernetes cluster. But your Kubernetes cluster would be anywhere in the world, right? But it is there in my local computer. Okay, so this is one thing guys I'm doing in parallel to save our time. So let's directly go to Terraform functions. So technically guys, if you see and search about Terraform functions, so lots of functions guys you can find about Terraform depend upon your requirement. Okay, so if you click on this particular link, it will list you all the functions, I can say built-in function in the Terraform. And some of the function guys, if you remember, function called element, a function called file, somewhere in our code we have already used. But based upon the requirement, if you want function related to IP networks, file system, collections, lists, numeric strings, so a lot of functions available. So in the code, if you want to use some functions, depending upon requirement, you can use it. Okay. So to quickly show you the output, how function perform. So either you can write a Terraform code, you guys know how to write it, or there's one more way. Okay, one more way. Guys, Terraform provide you live console to just test that Terraform code. Okay, so either you write directly code in your file and run it with the Terraform apply command. So there's a concept called Terraform console. Okay, right? It will give you live Terraform prompt where we can directly write some of the Terraform code just to test or maybe for the debugs. Okay. For example, there's a one function, even if you see here overview, they give you some function name. So there's one function called max. Obviously, by looking at the name, it is very clearly visible what they do. If you provide some numbers, they give you maximum of it. So obviously 12 is max they give to you. Okay, so that's all guys. So they give you very lot of quick and clean example. If you go for collections, for example, so there's a lot of examples here. Okay, length function we have already seen. Some of other functions we might also have seen. So, but looking at this function, you can guys, we can also try by yourself. For example, element is one of the function we have seen here. They give you, so if you have a list of items, and if you know the index, they give you the list. And this is the example they give you. So if I copy this and just for testing, I'll paste here. So there's a list I'm giving you, and I'm asking just give me what is there in the in the portion number 1 means 0 and 1. B is there, they print to you. Okay. So guys, this document is very much clean, very much intuitive. Okay. By looking at this document, we can we can just work on that. It's all upon dependent requirement, guys. What exactly you want to do? Just look at this document and use the function. One function I want to show you, very much useful sometime. So let me create a code for this so I can show you how we can use it. So there's a function called lookup. So very useful. Maybe where a lot of time we normally use lookup. Otherwise, based on requirement, you might use some other functions also. Okay. So let me show you how we can use some function like lookup, right? So what I'm going to do again, I'll go to our documents, Terraform workspace. I'm creating a folder, let's say function. And in this folder, I'm going to create one file, let's say e.tf. Okay. And what I'm going to do in this file, guys, I'm going to create some variables. Okay. You guys know how to create. So I'm going to create a variable. Let's say my variable name is region. Okay. And this variable I'm going to store when default value, let's say AP South 1. So this variable we created, you guys know by default the type of the variable is string. Okay. And I'm going to create one more variable. Let's say the name of variable is AMI. My plan is to store my AMI's name. Okay. And the plan is something like this, that based upon my region, I want to use different image of the OS. So if you're in Mumbai, you want to use different AMI name. If you are in North Virginia, you want to use different AMI name. Why? Anybody who know about AWS, you guys know if you create AMI in Mumbai, same AMI by default you can't use in other region. Either to copy it somehow or you to create new. So per region, AMI work per region base. So this might be use case. So what can I do? I can create a map or list. So guys, I'm going to use a map. What is map? It is like dictionary. I already explained you guys type map. And I'm going to set a default value for this map. And here, what I'm going to set, I'm going to set if you are from US East region. Okay. In this case, you're going to use AMI. For example, I'm just using randomly this particular AMI. Okay, so this is a list I'm going to create. And if you are from US West region, okay, then there is AMI available with a different name. And if you are from AP South 1, that's called Mumbai, then AMI may be AMI, let's say 1111. Okay, so this is the plan we have created, or my team has created. They say this is the actual AMI available. So we create one map of it. Map is like hashes or dictionary, whatever you know, but we have discussed already in our class. Okay, now what can we do? Okay, if you want to do something like this, okay, so let me print some output. Okay, output O1. Okay, and what I want to do, okay, I am looking for the AMI name, okay, based on my region. So if I'm running my code in a region Mumbai, I will retrieve this AMI because AP South 1 is my current region. Okay, so technically again I'm repeating, my requirement is if I am based in Mumbai, my region name is this one. And if I'm from Mumbai, so uh, my code will retrieve the value of Mumbai AMI. But if my code will run in US East 1, if my region is US East 1, then they will retrieve this AMI. Let's say, let me give the AMI name, let's say 2222. Let me give this AMI name, let's say 3333. Obviously, this AMI is not available, just for testing, I'm doing it. Okay. So for this, there's a concept here. Okay, there's function over here. A function name is called lookup. Okay, if I click in this function, what they do, they ask you map and key. Okay, so even though there's example also, let me copy this example and paste here for testing. Copy, paste. So here, guys, lookup function will take main two argument. One is the map. So here A is this Y. So A is key, this is value. B is key, this is value. So one argument lookup function is take map. Second argument they take is key name. So they look for this key. So if this A key is available, they will print the value. So A, Y come up. But if I take other example here, okay, so again I'm looking for key equals C, but in my map C key is not available. So my lookup function has third argument. So what they do, if whatever key we are looking for, if that key is not available, obviously the value is not available, so they will reprint the third value. That's called default one. So this guys concept, they again I said document is very clear. If you read, if you practice some example, you come to know what exactly function is doing for us. Okay, so obviously I can't show you all the examples, but just based on requirement, just go and read the document and reprint it. Okay, so something like this we are going to do. So in my output function, I'm going to print the value of lookup function. And lookup function, we have to provide our name of the map. And guys, in this case, I've created a map called AMI, and this is variable. So I say var.ami. So this is a map we have created, or I can provide directly this point also here, but we have variable. So I'm passing the variable with the variable name. And what value I'm looking for? So let's say I'm looking for my current region, and my current region, guys, is stored in a variable called region. Okay, so I say var.region. So what this lookup function will do, they will go and check. And guys, again, the name suggests what lookup will do. They'll go and look up for this key inside this map. This key is what? AP South 1. They go inside this map. Does they find this value? Yes. If they find this value, they will use this AMI. But if they don't find this value, so I can set some default AMI that always to use. Let's say AMI maybe 4444. Okay, so I can use a default also if this region is not available. But in this case, I have available, this region is available. Okay, so this is again one of the example of functions that you can use, and you can run Terraform apply. And guys, you can see they will print okay, AMI of Mumbai. Why? Because that's what we look for. But if my code change, and in my code, if I use one of the region in the variable, because I told you guys we always try to put the region in a variable, and if I run the code in different region, so accordingly different AMI name come up. And now instead of output, we can use this concept in your resources. A resource means, you guys know, for example, so one of the resources will be EC2 resource that you guys are comfortable on, Terraform EC2 resource, right? So, so if I take this example, so here also guys, we use the AMI. Okay, so let me copy, and instead of output, let me use this. So rather than I fix my AMI, here I can use lookup function. Lookup function. So automatic guys, based on my region, they will use that AMI from this map. So code become more, dynamic. If I run this, obviously guys, they will whatever. Obviously it won't work. We have to provide a provider, and then you'll see this will work for us. Okay, so guys, this is one of the examples. So if you want to use function, a lot of other functions we have discussed already in some other classes: length function, file function, element function, right? So again, based upon the requirement, guys, you can just go to this document and read the further function. Okay, so here guys, they give you in the regions, they just give you just example, but I say yes. Okay, obviously I have to provide provider also, right? So I haven't provided provider details, but you guys know we can add the provider in the top, right? So because provider contain your login and password, but I just want to tell you, this is the way you normally use the functions. I just take the example of lookup, but other function also you can use in the same way. So guys, this is some of the example of function. We might use some more examples in some next classes. Even though guys, a lot of content of Terraform has been completed. If you see the agenda also, very limited classes left, but in that classes, some more function I will touch on. Okay, so this is one of the small topic I want to discuss with you separately, but I keep on discussing function already in my last classes, but I want to take separate class on it. Okay, let's discuss something about Kubernetes, how you can integrate Terraform with Kubernetes. Again, Kubernetes is again one of the platform. So very quick information about the Kubernetes, those who don't know. Okay, so Kubernetes again is one kind of platform, is one kind of cluster. What you do, so anybody who know about Docker, so Docker will launch a container, and inside the container contain like a OS. Inside the container OS, we launch and run our apps. Okay, similarly, okay, technically in the Docker world, we have a called images. Like in Amazon, we have AMI. So from the images, we launch the container. Okay, similarly in the Kubernetes, from the images, container images or Docker images, okay, what we do, we go to Kubernetes and say, I want to launch a container. But in the Kubernetes world, container is known as pod. Okay, so just quick discussion over here. So if you want to launch any image in the Kubernetes, you have to launch the pod. Like in Amazon, we launch EC2 instance. Here it is called pods. Inside the pod, it is like one entire OS. Inside the OS, we have an app running. So it is something like this. But for this, you need Kubernetes cluster. So either you can launch your Kubernetes cluster in AWS cloud. How? There's a service called EKS. And good thing is, guys, we have the module available for EKS. I show you, yesterday modules. So you can just go and search for EKS. They will give you module name, use the module and launch the cluster. Okay, so there's one thing, or you can launch in local. So in my case, I have already local Kubernetes cluster. Okay, very quickly, if I want to show you one of the command of Kubernetes, okay, this command called kubectl get ports. So this is a admin command. It connect to my Kubernetes local cluster. Okay, and it show me how many OS is running, means technically how many ports is running. So there is no port running because nothing is there. I haven't launched yet. But if I want to launch any pod, so anybody who know Kubernetes, we have a kubectl command to launch the pod, or we have some Kubernetes files we create. That's called YAML file we create, and then we write some code to launch the pods. But right now, I don't want to manage Kubernetes with the Kubernetes command, or Kubernetes their own personal code base. So I want to manage Kubernetes also with the help of Terraform. So like one tool to manage your public cloud, your private cloud, your cluster to manage your containers like Kubernetes, so maybe OpenShift or maybe some more tools. Okay, so one Terraform and gonna help you to write code in a one language of Terraform. Okay, Terraform language. So that's called HCL language, HashiCorp language that the Terraform use, the language we use till date. Okay, so with one language, we are going to control entire platform. And again, logic is same. We have to use providers, we have to use resources, everything is same. So how you can work on? Pretty simple. So just go to Terraform. We go to registry. And now today's we are looking for some other provider. Provider would be AWS, the Kubernetes, very famous. You can see separately highlighted. So these are page for Kubernetes. Again, we go for Kubernetes. Even though this is the also module available if you want to launch Kubernetes cluster in AWS or maybe in Google, maybe Azure also they might provide you. But here my cluster already running, so I'll go back to document. And one thing as you always do is the authentication first. Okay. So I click on the authentication part, and here they tell you if you want to authenticate. So this is the way you can do it. So there's a multiple way. I would like to use a way called this one. Okay. So 1 minute, let me create a separate folder for this. I'm just using Cube here for Kubernetes, and I'm going to create a file. Let's say k.tf. This is a provider name. Again, understand one thing, guys. Your provider may be Google, AWS, Kubernetes. So now my provider is Kubernetes. And guys, everyone that have their own way to log in. Right. So in the Google, if you want to log in, we have to provide some kind of token and key here. If you want to log in AWS, you have to provide some access key, secret key, or profile name here. But if you want to log in Kubernetes, so anybody who know about Kubernetes, okay, in the Kubernetes, one of the way to log in is the kube config file. Okay, so in my computer, I already have this file available in my home directory, right? Why I have available? Because I have local system. And when I set up my local cluster, they automatically create my local file. That is the reason I can run this command successfully. Otherwise, this command will also fail. So this command also used as this file behind the scene. So this is a normal by default location in the Kubernetes. What this file contain? This file contain again your login and password, means some kind of credentials, means keys. Okay, this is one thing. Second thing, guys, in the Kubernetes, like in AWS cloud. So not AWS, like in Google Cloud. If you remember, I told you there, if you want to launch anything, any instances, you have to first create a project. Okay, so project is also known as namespace. Okay, same thing, guys, in Kubernetes. If you want to launch anything, you should be somewhere in namespace. Okay, so some of the namespace you should be. Okay, so what namespace you want to use? So there's a concept called context. It is the one who will contain your namespace details. Okay, so when you launch your Kubernetes, right here they show you your current context name is minikube. But anybody who know Kubernetes, you can also, guys, go and create your own context. Okay, so my current context name that I already have in my computer is minikube. So what minikube contain? It contain my name of my further details. Okay, name of my username, password, what login and password they have, what is the IP address of Kubernetes cluster, or what is the project name or namespace to use, because this file might contain lots of details. So in one file, I might contain 10 different Kubernetes cluster details. And every Kubernetes detail, guys, have their own name. That's called context. So that's what I used here. So guys, if I open this file, right? I don't want to open right now, but if you open this file, you can see a lot of context I have. One of the contexts I want to use, that is my local cluster. That's what I'm using here. So it's the same, guys. You can see a detail here. If you read, it will also show you this particular detail. What is the meaning of the context over here? Okay. From the file, it will check. But if you know the directly login and password, that's called keys. You can directly put it here. Username, password. If you have in the Kubernetes, your URL of the Kubernetes, so you can use this. Or maybe some more example you can see here. This is also one of the way. If you know the URL of details, keys, you can directly put here. And here you can use file function. I show you some of the classes file function. They will go and read the file. Okay. But in my case, based upon my cluster, sorry, right? This is the way I can log in. So this is the provider. Only thing, guys, to remember the syntax is same, but provider this, there's a different way to log in. So if you go to Azure Cloud, they might have a different way to log in. Okay, so accordingly to use it. Now in this case, I have to run Terraform init command. Now this time, guys, they are initializing my backend with Kubernetes. Now they know how to connect to the Kubernetes. Okay. So this is done. If I do apply, nothing is there to apply because I haven't done anything, nothing to apply here. So now what we normally do in the Kubernetes, normally, guys, in the Kubernetes, we launch the pods. Okay, so these examples might be they give you here. Okay, so if you want to launch a namespace in the Kubernetes, this is an example, extra namespace. I don't want this. Okay, so maybe some other examples they might give you. Okay, they don't have, let me see in the guide. So not in the guide, let me see in the resources. So guys, anybody who know about Kubernetes, okay, so these are the very common things we do in Kubernetes world. Okay, so what we do, okay, normally the Kubernetes, guys, we launch config maps, daemon sets, deployments, okay, jobs. So recently, guys, I done my Kubernetes training in very detail. So those who was there, almost everything we have discussed: network policies, resource quota, role, secret, service account, stateful set. So guys, this thing, anybody who know Kubernetes, I recently done my training, so we've discussed this concept very detail. But I just want to show you everything they support here. They have the resource. Okay, let me go and use the simplest resource called port. So this is one who going to launch a container, means a pod here, something like issued instance. Those who don't know. Okay, and this is the example. Let me use the entire example here. Okay, and till here, oh, this example is a big. But let me use this entire one. Okay, so let me use till here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to launch a resource called pod. I'm giving a name, again same syntax. And guys, if you launch any pod, we have to give some name to the pod. So this is the name we are going to give, Terraform example. Or maybe let's say my pod. This example, this is the name we are giving here. Okay, and anybody who know about pod, normally we launch the pod from the image. So this is the image I am going to use. But if you have your own image, you can use it. For example, I have a lot of images. I post in Docker Hub. So you can use my image, or you can use other images also. So I have one image. If you search with my name, Vimal13, Apache website, one of the very common image I use. So this is the image I am going to use right now. Okay. And guys, when you create a container, you always give container also a name. Let's say my C is the name I'm going to give. And if you want to launch a container and you want to set some environmental variables, you can set with this keyword. Okay. Maybe I might don't require also this. So let me close this container block here. Let me close this spec block here. Okay, and let me close this resource block here. That's all, guys. So again, they have the example. And anybody who again know about container, we can set container port number here. We can save liveness props here. We can set some other information also here. Okay, and plus a lot of you guys know arguments over here. Depending upon the requirement, you can set further arguments also. Okay, so also check which is the optional, which is required. So I think which all the required one I might have used here. Okay, so maybe you can just go and check also. Okay, so let me run this example. Before I run, let me again check manually that I have any pod here. No. Now I'm going to launch a pod now with the help of Terraform. So if I apply, okay, as such, there is no error come up. And if you see on the top, based upon the plan, they give you a lot of information with respect to Kubernetes world. And here, there's nothing we have set, limited part things we have configured here, but tons of things they support, guys. Flocker, clusters, persistent volumes, lot great support they have, I can say. Okay, but based upon the output, something we might have set, you will see here the name of the container, image, and something like this. Okay, so they say you want to launch, I say yes. So now this time we are launching the pod with the help of in the Kubernetes, but with the help of Terraform. So one code base to configure and manage entire resources. Now the launch. Now I'll come up. If you want to confirm, we can take the help of Kubernetes. Now you can see, guys, this is the pod we have given and then launch. And you want to see there's some more detail about this pod, you can use the describe command. This is the Kubernetes commands actually. And what do you find? They launch a pod with this name from this image, and this is the container. And that's exactly I've set here. So they launch it. Okay, now, because this is Terraform, you can apply Terraform command also. Like if you want to destroy the entire setup, you can also destroy. So Terraform command would be same, but without knowing Kubernetes commands, I'm using Kubernetes command just to show you how the thing works. But without knowing the Kubernetes command, you can manage your Kubernetes one. Okay, so that is, guys, core about concept of Terraform, right? So I have just given the approach, guys. Now, based upon your further knowledge, you can do. For example, just take one very quick example here. Okay, if you want to launch deployment in the Kubernetes, is a very common thing we do. So just go to deployment, and now this is the deployment where you can set replications and all the things over here. Okay, so just go to deployment and give the name, replica, how many you want, and other container images. So again, if you guys know Kubernetes, these are the very commonly used concepts and term we use in the Kubernetes world. Okay, that's what, guys, they have launched for us. Okay, so this is a quick way. I just want to explain you how we can integrate Terraform with the Kubernetes. Okay. Now I want to take one more small topic. I thought it might take some lot of time, but it is covered very quickly. So let me take one more plan. Let me take very quickly. So one more topic, guys, I want to take here in Terraform. That's called dynamic blocks. How we can create a dynamic blocks in Terraform. Okay, and with this concept, guys, I am also going to explain you how loop work. Even though one of the example of loop, count index, I already covered, but there's one more kind of loop. This go for each. How it work, it also covered in this topic. So let me take one more topic in Terraform, how dynamic block work. So for this, let me set one example first. So you guys know about firewalls. Okay. And if you talk about AWS world or maybe in the cloud world, normally firewall is known as security group. And let's say we have a requirement, we want to launch the instance EC2. And guys, normally when you launch the instance, it is compulsory to add security group. If you don't add, by default, they add something, but we always add some security group and firewall to this instance. And you guys know the use of firewall. So what firewall do? If any traffic come from outside, okay, firewall will check the traffic, and according to the rules in the firewall, they allow or deny. And technically here, you guys know the word. If any traffic come in, this is called inbound, or also known as ingress traffic, or inbound traffic. So in the firewall, if it is written that any traffic come or for port number 80, port number 8080, okay, for TCP protocol, if this rule is there, so by default, guys, in the security group, whatever rule we create, it is by default allowed. And the rule that is not created is by default denied. So this is how, guys, how security group work. Okay. So this is a very quick information about security group. Okay. Now, let's say we have a plan. I want to create a security group. Okay. So how? Let's do it. Let me create a folder called security group. So creating a security group is not big deal. Okay, but what I'm going to explain you that is important to know. Okay, so how to create a security group? So again, you can search in the document Terraform security group. So there's a resource name come up. And so if you guys want to create a security group, this is a resource name. Okay, and let me copy this resource. Okay, and let me paste here. Okay, so this is a security group come up. Let me make this security a little bit simple. So this is a security group name. Let's say my security group. Description as such we don't require. And guys, whenever you launch a security group, we always launch in VPC. If you don't give VPC, they will launch in the default VPC maybe. Okay, but I think this is not the VPC ID is not a is optional field. Let me check. Yeah, optional, so we can remove it. Okay, so just I'm giving the security group name, and this ingress, that what I explained to you. So in the ingress, only thing we have to do here, which port you want to allow. Let's say I want to allow port 80 to 80, means only port number 80 they allow. Okay, here we can give the range also, but here I want to allow port 80 for TCP protocol. Okay, and I don't want anything about IPv6, and I want to allow this guy from anywhere. So here, if you see CIDR block, CIDR, yeah, it's a list. So right, guys, this guy in a list. So which IP you want to allow? Let's say I want to allow all the IP in the world. Otherwise, I can give the list of the IP or the network range. Okay, so this is one of the basic security group we have created. Okay, what the security group say? The security group say, if anybody use me, I will allow port number 80 from anywhere in the world for TCP protocol. So let me run it. How we can run? Let me use provider called AWS, and region. Let's say I want to create in AP South one, and my profile where I have my login and password is default. Okay, so nothing technical, similar kind of example. But this example, guys, I'll accelerate with dynamic block in a minute. So when I apply this, it will create a security group for us. Okay, now guys, here, okay, what I want to show you. Let me first apply. When I apply this, sorry. Okay, so it will create as security group for port number 80 for everyone in the world. One security group they are going to create with the name whatever I have created. Somewhere they put the name. Okay, my ISD. So nothing is special. But you know, guys, challenge here is normally, guys, sometime in the server we have some app, and this app work on multiple ports. So they have port number 80, they have port number 81, they have port number 8080, they have port number 8081. So multiple ports the application is working on. I want to allow all the ports. And if I want to allow all the port, so one of the way would be I can I can create this resource multiple time. Okay, so this one resource, I create one more resource, create one more resource, and every resource we give a new, different name. Let's say this resource is a S1. This resource is called S2, and here I allow different port number. Okay, and this resource may be S3. I allow different port number. Like this. So this is one of the approach. Okay, but guys, in this approach, the challenge is the code become bigger. The code is redundant. Means we just keep on writing this block manually. So again, I write this block manually. Okay, but here, guys, main block is not the name. Name is same. Everything is same. Only this block is changing. So ingress block is changing. Okay, only this block is changing. Okay, but here I am writing this block manually. I can say I am writing this block static. So if you want to allow 10 port, 10 different time, 10 different time you have to type this block statically. So either you type this block statically, but you know, this is the block you write 10 times or 4 times here. So there's a way you can also create this block dynamically. Okay, so dynamic, this block will create for you. And dynamic means, so I can put this port number in one variables, and I can create the for loop. What I mean by this, let me show you with while creating. So let me remove this entire block here. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one variables here. Okay, you can give variable name, let's say security group ports. It's a variable name. And this variable, guys, I'm going to give multiple ports. So I'm going to give a type called list. My default value for the list is a number of ports. Let's say I want to allow port number 80, 81, 80, 80, 80, 81. This is a random name giving these port numbers here. So guys, this is a list of port numbers I have given here. Okay. Now what I want to create this resource, not this resource. You should understand one thing, not this resource. Inside this resource, only one resource I have, one security group I want to create. But in this security group, I want to create this block, okay, 4 times, because I have 4 ports. Either I can copy paste 4 times, or I want to create this guy dynamically. So for this, there's a keyword here, especially in I can say Terraform, keyword called dynamic. And here I say I want to create this ingress block dynamically. Okay, and what content I want to add in this ingress block, this is the content. So there's a one keyword inside the dynamic is called content. Okay, and this would be the content for my dynamic block. Okay, but guys, if you're creating something, okay, So how many times I want to create? 1 time, 10 times. So obviously if we have to write a loop. And I want my loop will run on this variable. Okay, so guys, if you have a loop that you want to run on some variable as a list, so I want to create a loop, they will go retrieve first item, second item, third item, fourth item, it's called iteration. And now guys, normally for the iteration, we use for loop. This is called for each here. So guys, inside the dynamic, I say run this dynamic block 10 times or 4 times. But here I say use for each. For each go to this variable, this is called sc ports. Go to this variable. Okay, and this variable 4 items, so run 4 times. So the for each go to this variable, pick first value, create this block. Pick second value, create this block. Pick fourth value, create the block till the time the value element ends. And every time they create, I want my value to be changed. Okay, so here I want when this for each run, okay, they go to this particular variable, pick this value and store in ingress variable actually. So I can say whatever value of ingress I want to store here. Okay, that's what our plan is. And whatever value of ingress I want to store here. I want to store here. Okay, so technically that's all the only thing I want to do. Okay, so let me properly indent my code so it look very clear, which is a part of what. Okay, and this dynamic block and so technically what exactly I'm doing here, I am going to create one resource only. Okay, in this block, in this security group, I want to add multiple rules, multiple port. So I create this all the port in one variables. Okay, and I create ingress block. Instead I write 4 times, I just write 1 times, and I say dynamically create this block. How many times? 4 times. Why 4 times? Because 4 ports. But why 4 times? Because of 4 each. 4 each will go pick first port number where dot sg ports put in this variable. This also work like a variable here. And in this variable, what value they pick? 80, they replace with this. So this is guys how for each work, or this is how dynamic quantifier. And that security group is a good example for having dynamic block concept. Okay, so let me run this code. Apply. Guys, can you hold for a second, please? Now, if you see, again, one security group created, but this time you can see, guys, this block automatically repeat one single security group create, but ingress block repeat for this port number, repeat for this port number, repeat for 80 and 81. And if I say yes, they will apply. So this is again one more great concept about Terraform, where I covered for each. It will be distro also, I don't need. and and the dynamic block also. Okay, so security group is a good example, but whenever you find any kind of these concepts where you want to create internal block multiple times, dynamic is a keyword you can use. What content to put in this block, how many times you want to create, you can use for each. They will create that first time. Okay, so guys, this is also one more good advanced concept I covered today. Okay, so that's all guys for today in terms of things we have discussed. Okay, any queries if you have, you guys can ask me. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. So what is containers in Kubernetes cluster in AWS? It all depends, Lalit. If you create a Kubernetes cluster manually or with EK service, if you create with EK service, so there's a command ekctl, they will uh, download for you the config file. They will contain the context name. Otherwise, if you don't know how to find the context name, so there's a command in Kubernetes. So it's a command called kubectl config view. It will give you all the context name you have. There's a command. So guys, for me, if you go up, there's a list of context name they put here, but my current context is this one. One of my context name is this one. One of my context name is this one. So I have a lot of cluster connected. Okay, so like EKS cluster or maybe Amazon or other cluster also. So tons of cluster I have connected with in my local computer, but my current context is Minikube. So this is also one of the command you can use to check. Saswant, you asked, I need to get a firewall for Jenkins or Confirm AWS where only GitHub is allowed, not any other IP allowed. And so one thing, guys, Saswant, GitHub never come to you. Okay, you are the one go to GitHub. So you do allow egress traffic, okay, on the GitHub URL or what the IP of GitHub is. Okay, yeah. In one of the case, GitHub come to you. Maybe you guys might be asking, is GitHub hooks, webhooks? So in this case, you might find GitHub document what is the IP GitHub used behind the scene in webhooks. So that way you can add in your security group in your admin machines, okay, or maybe in your firewall. And if one of the document doesn't show it, so just allow all the firewall, capture the traffic with TCP dump command. So whenever the GitHub webhook comes to you, you can capture the IP address. There you come to know what IP they come to you, and accordingly you can add the IP. So this is also the other approach you can use. Yes, IOS you can also use a loop in inline. So in remote execute also. So you can also use the for loop there also. So how to change the protocol? Again, Aditya, instead of list, you can use map. Okay. And then you can use lookup function the way I explained to you. It's a good question you ask. Well, you know, some of the port number 80, let's say work on TCP, 53 work on UDP. So how they dynamically work there. So there you can create a map instead of list of port, and you can use lookup function there by explain to you to map it. uh, so when you start next, we'll update you guys. uh, Akash, it depends on, I already explained you, I think in my initial classes, and one of the example I explained you how it depends on keyword work. Okay. There's no meaning, Patel, to have Ansible provider. Ansible is not actually a platform. They don't launch any OS or containers for you. Okay, but you can integrate Terraform Ansible. I show you guys in my initial talk where you can use local execute provisioner that will call Ansible playbooks. That's how you can integrate. There's different one, but there's no meaning of provider for the Ansible. Any from blockchain right now, I'm not planned. I'm right now busy in my summer program. how much class left? Very limited class, maybe guys. Within 2 or 3 class more maximum, I try to cover the Terraform. So that's all, guys. I'll provide this code, practice this, cover 2, 3 different topics today. We'll see you tomorrow, guys, with some more new topics. Okay. So that's all, guys. Bye. Take care. Good day.